Hello, everyone. Welcome to Family Credit Management's weekly show about money. Today is going to be one of our probably most special, probably most important shows that we have. And today's show is about money and kids, because why do so many of us have hard times with money and finance and credit and savings and understanding everything? It's because we didn't understand a lot of the basic rules as kids, and we learned some bad traits. And once you get those bad traits in your head, habits, they're really, really hard to break those habits. So we're going to talk about kids and money and everything else. I've been doing this for, I've spent the last 25 years working at banks, working in collections, working as underwriting where I approve loans, working in, I've taught for 4 years at Morton College where I teach classes on finance and business, and also 20 years in the debt management and credit counseling field. So I can tell you right now that a lot of kids out there, when I teach college classes, a lot of the basic fundamental things, they just didn't get, weren't told, didn't understand, and have a hard time with. So I'm going to be here kind of representing the the adults, the ones who understand things. And as you can see, I've got a guest with me today. And why are you here?
I'm here to represent kids with money, so it will make it easier to see what a kid's point of view is when spending money.
Because a lot of kids have kind of misconceptions about money. They don't really understand where money came from, how do you get money, how do you buy things. And a lot of your friends or even you in the early time, when you got money, what did you want to do with it?
Spend it.
Spend it. Did you give thoughts to where you spent it?
No.
No. What kind of things did you use to spend it on?
Worthless things.
Worthless things. And how many adults do we know that do the same thing? For adults, what we call it is impulse spending. And so you go ahead and you get to the store and you see something. Stores have little tricks. Like they have end stands, they call it. How many people would buy a pack of gum or a pack of mints or a magazine if they didn't have it right at the cash register? Single bottles of soda, single bottles of water. And I've done it myself. But how many times are we spending $1.25 for a bottle of water when we're at the grocery store or at one of the big boxes, where if we just would have waited 10 minutes, we could have gone home and gotten one? And that's impulse spending. Kids do the same thing, don't they?
I would have to agree.
Yeah. And what should they do?
Kids should save money until they actually really need to spend it. They should not buy worthless junk almost. They should buy something that would really matter, like maybe saving up for college, maybe saving money to buy a house in the future. Money can add up.
A house, that's a big thing, but a lot of kids, really I think you're saying save for something you really want, and not just an impulse thing. Because how many kids buy something later on, they're like, they didn't really want it, did they?
Yeah.
Yeah. One of the things I always challenge adults to do, and I challenge any kids who are watching right now, think about all the things that you've bought or you've asked your parents to buy for you. You think about it, Katie. Think about your room at home, all the things that you have. It being stuffed animals, toys, games, clothes. You have any clothes that you never wear?
Many.
Yeah. So by the time you want them, you buy them. Maybe they're on sale, maybe they're discounted, and you go ahead and spend the money on them. But then you don't wear them. You don't like them, right?
Yeah, that could also be another example of impulse spending.
No, that's a perfect example of it. So challenge people. Think about your house right now. Whether or not you're an adult or a child, if you could look around your entire house, how many times would you be able to find something if I could put the money next to everything you bought? So if we could go to your room right now and take all of your games and toys and puzzles and clothes and stuffed animals and pillows and things hanging on the wall, whatever you had, we could put the money right next to it and you could have the money back. Think you'd be able to collect any money?
I think that I would be able to collect more money than you can imagine.
So you'd be able to collect a lot of money. And you know what? I think most adults are in the same situation. I think that adults do the same thing. But where do you think these habits start at?
When kids are my age, or maybe like my little brother's age.
Yeah, I think that's exactly right. When you were young. So we as adults have a responsibility to help kids understand about spending and the value of money and going further, because this is a huge problem. Impulse spending is a real big problem. So this is something that we've talked about, at Family Credit Management for years. So what we did was we actually used Katie and her sister Elizabeth as examples, and we wrote a kids book. Katie and Elizabeth Go Shopping. What's this book about?
It's about how me and my sister, when I was little, I used to spend my money on not the most intelligent items, let's just say. And my sister, she would always want to save something. She would always want to save money until now she still has a lot of money in her little safe.
And you spent yours, and then what happened over time?
Over time, everything got boring, and it ended up not really being mine anymore because my brother would just walk into my room and take it all. I really did not care at that point.
So kids start to understand, hey, you know what? Maybe I should start giving some more thought to my purchases and taking some more time. So, as I said, this is the book, Kate and Elizabeth Go Shopping, that we've created, and we're actually just launching it right now. We just got them back from the printer. I think it's a great story for, really kids anywhere from, what would you say, 4 to 8?
Yes, I would have to agree.
Yeah, I think that'd be the right age group for this book. And we're actually we're going to start charging for these, but anyone who wants a copy of this book, during our launch, we'll mail you a copy of it for free. All you have to do is you can go to our website, familycredit.org, and you can do the contact us and request your free copy with the address, or you can call and speak to one of our credit counselors, and you just call that number and tell them that you just watched the show and you're interested in this book and helping, some kids that need some help learning about money management, and we will get a copy of it off to you for free. And it's actually really a great book that's entertaining, and more and more we need to really spend time with kids on educational questions. So we're going to be here for another 20 minutes or so, and we'll take any questions that you have, and as always we'll take all questions about anything money management and credit related, especially now that I have a second expert with me today. But we're also going to try to focus on things with kids. I know one of the things that I've noticed, kids, when they go off to the store, they want to buy things. And we as parents have to make sure that we explain to them that how finances work. And too many times, we as parents don't want to talk to our children about money. We'd much rather just kind of avoid it or bury it. But do kids really understand?
Not really, until their parents tell them. And as you say, parents want to bury it. Eventually, the kids will want to know. It's just something that you'll ask about just because you want to know.
And I think there's financial problems in a household. The kids kind of have an idea what's going on too.
And when you just don't tell them, they might get sad or maybe a little angry at you. So it's just best to tell them.
Scared, think the worst, or wondering why. Because parents, pretty much all parents, they want their kids to have everything. They want their kids to have more. But the reality is that almost none of us can give our kids everything, and they have to understand what we call economics is opportunity cost. One of the things we cover here in the book is that theory in a very basic, understandable way. And opportunity cost means once you spend $1, it's a lost opportunity. It can't go towards anything else. So if Katie gets her allowance and she spends her $10, that $10 can't be put anywhere else, can it? Because it's gone. Where your sister, if she keeps her $10, what can she do with it?
She can save it for later and maybe buy something for $100.
Yeah, and maybe something that she really wants or puts a lot of thought into. But, we have to let kids know that everything costs money. And we're going to talk about your housing costs. And I'm not recommending that we tell our personal business, how much money we make, or certain things like that to our kids, because obviously you don't want it to be, broadcast around the neighborhood. But depending on your kids, their level of maturity, their age, you should start sharing some personal information with them, because it costs a lot to run a house, doesn't it?
Yes, it does.
Do you think your friends understand how much it costs?
I don't think so. I mean, I have some friends where their parents will tell them, but they won't tell them a lot. They'll just say, well, yeah, we're not running out of money, and that's it.
Yeah.
That's not that descriptive.
Yeah. And then they want to have something. They want to have their kids buy them something, or have their kids get them something, and they can't, and they don't want to explain to them why. It's, households have a lot of money. I mean, you spend money on groceries, gasoline for your car, utilities, cable TV, and some decisions, letting the kids be part of the decision. So they want something, and let them know, we're spending this much money on cable TV. Would you rather us cut cable down to a smaller package? Would you rather us do this? And bring them into some financial decisions that are appropriate for them, because the time's going to come, they're going to have to make those decisions themselves. And that's why a lot of the things we really did cover in the book. I see we've got our first caller. Let's go ahead and welcome to the show. What's your question or comment?
Hi, I would like to know, do you recommend opening a savings account for children?
Yes, a savings account. I think that's a great idea. In fact, Katie, you have an online savings account?
Yes, I do.
And what we do is we've got an online savings account. There's a lot of great institutions that offer them no minimum balance. She has a kids savings. It's through Capital One Online's bank. And we log into it, and actually she got $5 for Easter, I think, from her grandparents, and we actually do that deposit, and we tag it with exactly what it's for. And then what I do is, when my kids are out, they want to buy something, and I was at the Cubs game last week with my daughter and my other daughter, and she wanted to get a hat, and the hat was $45. And it was a really cool sequined Cubs cap, but that seemed to me to be a lot of money. That was kind of crazy. And I told her she could have it. I said, but when we go home, it's going to come out of your savings account. And so she thought about it, and she decided no, she didn't really want to have the hat. And if we would have gotten it, though, I would have gone home, made the transfer, and actually done that line item right there saying Cubs hat, so that when she's wondering what happened to my money, she can look back and start seeing, and that's how they learn. So even, and this is the hard part for a lot of parents, even if it's an expense I disagree with, I tell them to go ahead, because that's how they learn. But we have it tracked, so later they can see, here's what I spent my money on. I wish I didn't buy that hat, because then I would have had more money. So letting them make those mistakes, hey, I don't agree with you, making a bad move, but let them make those mistakes, and every time they get any money, they do chores around the house and they make money. They do chores for their grandma and they make a few dollars. And like I said, $5, $10, $20, or sometimes they'll save it in a little bank. Once they get 20, they'll put in, but we put right where it came from. So they get to know and see and recall that, money's hard to get, and it's easy to spend, and I think that's a great way to teach them a lesson.
Cool, thank you.
You're welcome. So that was an important thing, but that helps, doesn't it?
It does.
And I can tell you, for Katie as well, when we're out somewhere, you can have almost anything you want, but it comes out of your savings.
Yes, it does.
And I would say that she's found a lot more things she wants when it comes out of my savings than when it comes out of your savings.
I can't disagree with that.
So now I shifted over to her. Pretty much when we're out, she wants to buy something. She wants to buy that Cubs hat that was too expensive. Go ahead. It's your decision to make. And I think it's kind of a good way to do it. Agreed?
Agreed.
So, but, sharing with them what some of these household expenses are, depending on their age and maturity level, probably not how much money you have come into the house, but certainly how much you have going out of the house, so they have an idea. And so they realize that, we have to prioritize all the time on what is it we're going to spend. Lunches, do you bring a lunch to work or do you go out with lunch? And let them see, okay, at my house, I bring lunch to work 4 days a week. Why do I do that? Because going out to lunch is expensive, isn't it?
It is.
And let them know exactly how much it costs. I know when you were little, I don't know if you remember or not, but when she was little, we'd go out somewhere and she'd always want to have a drink. And I'd say, do you want to have water or do you want to have the lemonade? If you have the water, I'll give you $1.
Oh, yes, I remember.
And I'd be a little bit careful because kids are real smart these days. And I remember...
and flattering.
I remember we were out, and Katie said she was hungry, and she was really hungry. And so we're in line at the drive-thru because we're about an hour away from home. And I said, okay, what do you want? She's like, well, I want this, and I want water so I can have $1. And I said, wait a minute, you're not hungry, are you? Like, not really. I said, you just want to go out, order a water to get $1.
Maybe.
But that was a good way to start building up money. But that's how they started to learn the value of it. So they go out somewhere, and that's what it is. It's a balance. So do I spend the $1 on lemonade, or do I give $1 to her? To me, it didn't matter because I was going to be out $1 regardless. So now she got to be part of the decision-making process. Now, what do I want? Would I rather have that money and have water? And the answer was almost always yes. So those are some of the other lessons that we can really start to teach the kids to let them start to understand, how this all works, how they can be better about it, how it affects them. What do you think is the biggest mistake, you or some of your friends make with money?
I think that some of the biggest mistakes that me or my friends would make would have to involve just buying useless stuff. I know once my friends and I, we wanted to get something. I forgot what it was. That's how unimportant it was. So we put all of our money together, but we had a paper, and it said exactly how much each person put in. And then we got something, but it was completely useless. We just used it for our project, and then now it's somewhere in one of our basements. I don't even know what it is anymore.
And I think that's probably a big problem a lot of kids have. And you buy things, you want something so bad, and later on it turns out you didn't even know what it was, right?
Yes.
Yeah. And same thing happens with parents. So I think that is really one of the lessons I teach kids. One of the things I tell parents, and when I'm teaching classes to adults, same thing with kids, is to give yourself a cooling off period. You want something so bad, and wait 72 hours. That's 3 days. See if you still want it. And what are the odds you're even going to remember 3 days later?
Those odds would be very small.
Yeah, so many things you're going to say, I don't even want them anymore. And so that's why, really this book, it was so great for us to come up with, because, one of the things is probably my favorite part of it, and that's at the end of the book where, the one girl is sitting she's sitting in her bedroom and has all these toys. That'd be the girl, be Katie. She has all these toys and all these things that she's bought, and she's bored. And the other girl has all of her money in her savings account, and she's sitting there dreaming about all the wonderful things she can have if she ever wants to. And that's really what it's about. You want to have instant gratification, but things you're going to regret, impulse spending, or do you want to teach kids delayed gratification and the good that comes from savings and thinking? But as I said, we really have a lesson. We really have a responsibility to help kids understand, help us understand how hard money is to come by. Because it's not easy to get allowance. You've got to work at home, don't you?
Yes.
So why do you think is the reason that now you're so much more careful with spending? Because when we came up with the idea for this book, you pretty much got your allowance and you wanted to spend all of it. You'd want to tap into next week's allowance. So we'd be out somewhere and she'd say, well, Dad, can I have next week's allowance so I can get this? And now you're not that way anymore. What do you think changed?
I changed because I read the book that my stepmom made. And when I read it, I thought, do I really do that? I thought about it for 72 hours. And then I realized I actually am that way. So the next time I got allowance, I told my dad, put it in my savings account. He was surprised, very surprised, but
and that's true, because when we first came up with the concept for this book, Katie said, I'm not like that, and she was mad about it. Weren't you? You were a little bit mad.
Yes, I was.
Because she said, she goes, I'm not that way. But then she started thinking about realizing she was. And how many times are we not self-aware of how we are? That we're not impulse spenders. That, we're not just wasting money. And that's why I challenge you. Take a look around your house right now. See what it is, that you have. See what it is that you wish you would have saved your money for. Because so many people are that way. So I just got one person called in and didn't want to go on the air, and we certainly understand that. If you'd rather just, give your question, they can write down, give it to me. Wants to know, are concert tickets, okay to buy? So that's a tough question, because it's all about a balance and how much do you want to have that experience? Because you can have experience here now, and it's going to be gone. So are there other things that you want more? And what do you think about kids going to concerts and spending money on tickets?
In my opinion to that question, it's okay to buy a concert ticket maybe you really like a singer and and you live in Chicago. They're coming to Chicago. You've never seen them in your whole life. You'll probably want to go see them. And it's a good experience. You just shouldn't be an impulse spender at the concert itself.
That's a good point. Because you go to concerts and shows and stuff, there's a lot of other things they're selling which are expensive, right? I mean, how many people get into trouble with I mean, all sorts of impulse spending. One of the people at our office today was talking about how he wanted me to mention fireworks and how a lot of people are going out today and spend a lot of money on fireworks this week in preparation for the 4th of July. And that's literally setting your money on fire, isn't it? You can go and see free fireworks shows, right?
Yes, you can.
So you can go to Navy Pier, you can go to Oak Park High School, you can go to lots of places. You don't have to burn your own money, do you? So what do you think about that, spending money on fireworks?
Spending your money on fireworks, if you don't live in the city and you're watching this online, then it would be fine to get some fireworks if there's literally nowhere in it.
So if you're in a real rural area where they don't have the professional
yes.
shows.
And if it's more than like a 1 hour drive, just get your own fireworks.
I would say you've got to be careful. But that was a great point you made about how people go to the concerts and shows and you can start spending so much more money on things. I told you I went to the Cubs game, at the Kids in the Hat. You go to the Cubs game, you can bring your own food in with you. So you can, pack a lunch, bring your own drinks, and, bring everything in. How much money does that save? So it's about, teaching us lessons like that. On what is it we can do, how much do things cost, and a concert ticket. I say that the child should be able to make the decision that more and more things, even from Katie's age, and Katie's 11, is she works around the house. What kind of chores do you do around the house?
We have wooden floor, so sometimes I will take a wet paper towel, fold it, and then go around the corners where the most dust can gather. Helping my brother clean out his room because he's only 4, and I just have to sit there and make sure he does it. He doesn't just start playing with his toys and
help clean the table, help set table, you help make meals, you help keep your room in order,
clean up after meals,
clean up after things, vacuum. So do all sorts of things. So I think more and more kids have to understand responsibility, get paid a little bit, save the money. So if they want to go to a concert, they need to work to go to the concert. Then have it be their money. And so you say, okay, you know what? If you really want to go, if you're willing to spend the $40, $50, $60, $80 for a ticket, take it out of your savings and I'll pay for my ticket to go with you. But then do like we were talking about with the caller, where you have that online savings account and have them look at it and see, okay, do you want to come out? Now you had a balance of $300 in your savings account. We buy this ticket for $85. Now your account's going to go down to $215. So is it worth it to you to go from $300 in your savings to $215 in your savings? Because that really has a weight on you, doesn't it? It really makes you think.
I would have to agree with that.
When you see your savings balance, because how hard is it to go? Because it's really easy to go from 300 to 215, right?
Yes.
How hard is it to get it back to that 300?
A lot. It's harder.
It's a lot harder if you're talking about, $5 from Grandma for Valentine's Day and $5 from Grandma from Easter and maybe $20 on your birthday and $10 allowance here, $10 allowance there.
I think the only point you're proving right now is my grandmother is almost like a bank. That does not make you pay back the money.
Well, I think it's okay for grandmas to give us gifts, but it's important for parents and grandparents and everyone in your life to start really teaching you, though, how to start handling that money good. And like I said, we're really excited about this book because this book is a story of 2 little girls who get their allowance. One wants to spend the money as soon as she gets it. The other wants to save her money. Then they go out to stores. One's buying pretty much everything she sees she wants to buy. The other wants to save. And then at the end they start realizing, what's the most important thing? What should I do with money? How should I balance my money? Because while we try to also explain here, there's a lot more things that are important than money and how we spend it. Family, taking care of each other, our health. But if we don't understand how to properly manage our money, we're setting our kids up for real troubles and struggles down the road. Because I can't tell you how many I've seen that get into college, 19 years old, 20 years old, don't have experience. The credit card companies are quick to push a credit card on you. You get that credit card, start going crazy. Some kids don't even understand you've got to pay credit cards back. Some kids don't understand how the ATM works. They say, well, just go to the ATM and get more money. They don't realize how hard we have to work to get money in that ATM before we can take any money out of it. So these are some of the lessons that we're really working with teaching. So any final thoughts you have for kids on money management and savings and money and spending?
I would have to advise any kids that are watching this, just save your money. Maybe when you're in high school, you'll really want a car, and your parents won't get you one.
Yeah.
Then just spend it on that. Spend it one day when you actually really need it.
Because gone is gone. You know, once your money's gone, it's gone. It's a big thing we talk with adults about, and kids too, are needs versus wants. Your wants are never ending. How much do you really need something? And if you want it, it's discretionary, you know, which means it's extra. How badly do you really want it? And are you going to want it long term? Is this a shirt or shoes you're going to love, you're going to need, you're really going to wear, or just something that was cheap or on sale? And that's what you want to avoid. So we don't have it up yet, but we're soon going to have this downloadable version on the website. Like I said, we just got this back from the printer. But if anyone out there wants to help their kids learn about money, learn about savings, and that you have kids or no kids in the 4 to 8 age group, you know, make sure you reach out to us. You can go to our website, familycredit.org. Email us at counselor@familycredit.org or call that 800-994-3328 number, and they will be able to help you get a copy of this. We'll mail one out to you, no charge, nothing at all. We just want to. We received a grant from Citibank, which helped cover the publication and development of this, and we really want to get the word out to kids that money is something that needs to be taken seriously. It's important. It shouldn't be wasted. Shouldn't be spent frivolously, and take your time, but also enjoy it. Right?
Yes.
Well, I'd say you did a great job, and we really appreciated you coming on the air. And we won't. This will be our last show for a few months now. We should be back in September. But I thank everyone, and good night.